As I want to tell you, I've spent about 10,000 hours on different records, different tracks, mixing for artists. And I'm not bragging about that at all, because a lot of those hours have been sleepless nights that I've wondered if I've made the right decision. Yes, I know the frustration. I have been there, and there's a reason why you're frustrated, and the reason why you've clicked on this video today. Hi, my name is Brett with Anvil Music and Media. I'm here to talk to you about probably the most important thing that a beginner, somebody who is beginning mixing for the first time, that they overlook.
All right, guys, really quickly, before we get into this little tutorial, I want to just let you know, for you to be forewarned, pre-warned, right? When you're dealing with a lot of tracks and you have a lot of tracks in your mix, there's only but so much real estate that you can afford to have, because your vocals will be competing with all of these instruments. So you got to watch, how many tracks you have total in your mix. I just pulled up one of my tracks. It's just like a scratch track. It's not much going on here, but I wanted to pull it up for the simple purposes of showing you the EQ and where the muddiness is actually registering, and where that muddiness is going to be building up for you. So this is you can take a listen to the track. So I'm gonna pull up my EQ, right? And this is just a simple Logic EQ. You got your low, mids, and your highs. See how it's color coordinated? 300 to 500 is where all of your muddiness is going to appear. And you want to just make sure that and I'm gonna play the track again without. And most of your EQ is going to show visually what's going on. So this is the range. It's all about subtracting. You don't want to add, because if you have a session with a bunch of different tracks, you've added so much more muddiness in this area right here. And what it does is just compacts and compacts and compacts. You can't really see it, right? Unless, of course, you open up all the EQs to every track. But for example, if you have like 48 tracks, you're going to hear the buildup, and it's going to get, higher and higher in this range. So, and to make your mixes even more tighter, I would even stress between 400 and 500 hertz is where your muddiness is sort of building up. So, less is more in this instance. If you got 5 different keyboard parts playing, decide which one is the most important and kind of carve out the rest, so that, you won't have such a muddy mix.
So what you need to do is you need to first start looking for those particular tracks that have this 400 to 600 hertz range, where your muddiness is actually going to lie. It's going to lie within that range. And you're going to have to start to prioritize which tracks you're going to keep in this range and which tracks you're going to sort of duck. In other words, you're going to cut that certain range for clarity or clearer mixes. Not every track needs to dominate in this range, and that's the reason why they're muddy to begin with. What you need to do when you're mixing, you want to make sure that all of your tracks are balanced in terms of volume. Make sure that they're all balanced before you do what I'm about to tell you. Once they're balanced, you can reach for your EQ. Now, in your EQ, there is a spectrum of frequencies. And this frequency, the frequency between the 400 to 600 hertz range, is where your muddiness will lie. A lot of the tracks that you have either recorded or MIDI tracks, vocal tracks, they live in this range of 400 to 600 hertz. And it's taken up so much of that space and so much of that data that lives there, that you're going to have to decide which track is going to shine on its own and which are the other tracks that are going to live in the background. You've got to know how to simplify your mixing process. Less is more. Don't go reaching for different compressors and different saturators before you've done this particular thing. So guys, if you've enjoyed this video and you've gotten some out of it, even if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, as I'm available. Leave it in the comments or reach out to me by email. Thanks so much again for watching.